All right, sorry about that. I was muted. Today is Tuesday, December 8th, and today on the list to complete is the first half of lesson 3.3, addition of fractions. Now, yesterday you should have clicked into lesson 3.3, and I'm going to click there and make sure you understand that. And you should have watched the little video. Okay, that was a reminder of greatest common factor. And then clicked here, and it should have launched you into the pretest. Okay, and some students were like, Mrs. Kuiper, how come we didn't take this before we started the unit? And the reason we didn't was because the first lesson, 3.1, I wanted you to refresh your memory of what you did last year, or even in third grade maybe, about fractions, okay? And most of the students said that when they did do fractions in third grade, they learned what fractions were, and they played around with adding fractions with like denominators. And so I went ahead and had us do 3.1 and 3.2 first, before we did the pretest. And just a reminder, the pretest is, we're just trying to find out what you already know. What do you already know, and what do we need to spend more time on? For example, in science, when we took the pretest for Unit 3, every student was able to tell me what a solid, a liquid, and a gas were. So I didn't go over that. We watched a little video, and that was it. We didn't spend a lot of time because you guys had already learned that. Whoever taught you in fourth grade or third grade did an awesome job, okay? And so you guys did an awesome job learning that. So then we moved on to other things. Today we're going to do lesson 3.3, just the first half. If one half of a pizza has onions, then it doesn't matter how many slices you make, half of them will have onions. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about fractions, reducing fractions in the first half of the lesson. And in the second half of the lesson, we're going to be talking about improper fractions and how to convert improper fractions into mixed numbers. The first few slides are just a refresh of multiplying and dividing by 4. Excuse me. So remember, when you're doing the lesson, I would really like you to do half of the slides, which means since we have 5 slides here, you should be doing 3 slides, okay, of the problems at least, and checking your answers. So you can see here, I did 16 divided by 4 is 4, 7 times 4, and I clicked and drug 28 up there. 32 divided by 4 was 8. 8 times 4 was 32. And then let's check our answers. So then we're going to go on to the second one. Here we go. I already did this one. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 4 times 4 is 16. 24 divided by 4 is 6. 1 times 4 is 4. Check the answer, okay? And so let me click on another one here. 28 divided by 4 is 7. 4 times 1 is 4. 9 times 4 is 36. And 4 divided by 4 is 1. And guys, if you needed to, you could always pop up your calculator and you could do the math here. I often have people go, why are you letting them do that? Well, here's the deal. The more you have to type it in, the more you're going to remember it, okay? And I know that because I am a baker, and the more I bake, the more I learn my 12s. And 12's up to a pretty high number because I bake a lot of cookies, okay? So when you work with numbers a lot, you pretty much start to have them memorized and what the factors of different numbers are. So the more you have to type those in, the more you'll remember them to where you don't have to type in anymore. It is much faster just to pull up the answer from memory than it is to put it in a calculator. So eventually you'll get to the point where you know them really well, okay? One market research study estimates that Americans eat 350 slices of pizza each second. That's a lot of pizza. Let's take a closer look at some pizzas to learn about equivalent fractions. Juan made a large pizza and cut it into 16 equal slices. Only 12 of the slices on Juan's pizza have pepperoni. He could say that his pizza is 12/16 pepperoni, or 12 out of 16 slices have pepperoni on them. If Juan had cut his pizza into only 8 slices, then 6 slices would have had pepperoni. Notice the same portion of the pizza has pepperoni. What changed was how many slices he cut it into. Okay, at 16 slices, the pieces are smaller than they are at 8 slices. Okay, if he cut his pizza into only 4 slices, then 3 of the slices would have had pepperoni. The same amount of pepperoni is on these pizzas. The difference is we cut them into a different number of slices. And so 12 sixteenths, 6 eighths, and 3/4, it's the same amount of pizza. Those are equivalent fractions. No matter how many slices one cuts the pizza into, it is most common to say that the pizza is 3/4 pepperoni. That's the easiest way to say it. 3/4 pepperoni. That's the simplest form. Okay, and so when we're dividing fractions into simplest form, remember we have 2 methods. If you don't happen to notice the greatest common factor of the numerator, and denominator, it may take a few divisions to get down to the simplest form. So we're going to look at the way they did this. So they took 48 divided by 60. They divided both the bottom and the top by 2 and got 24 over 30. So then they went, oh, I can make that smaller. Notice any number that ends in an even number, 2, 4, 6, or 0, is going to be divisible by 2. Okay, so 2 is really easy to use. So they divided by 2 again, and they got 12/15. Now, 15 isn't an even number, so it's not divisible by 2. So then they used 3, and 3, you can divide 12 and 15 evenly by 3, and you end up with 4 on the top and 5 on the bottom. Okay, so 4/5 is the simplest form. Now, this is one method. The other thing we talked about earlier was if I take these prime numbers that I divided by, 2 times 2 times 3, I get the greatest common factor, and that was method 2. Somebody who noticed that 12 is the greatest common factor of 48 and 60. And so that would have allowed that fraction to be reduced to 4/5. Okay? Same answer, 2 different methods. Neither one is better than the other. It's just up to what you personally want to do. When I get to bigger numbers, I've told my students, I said, I'm not going to lie to you. I will pull up my calculator and I will do, okay, divided by 2. Okay, I'll work on it and do it that way if I have to. Using the calculator is absolutely okay when you're reducing fractions, especially when you get up to the big numbers. Now, could I write this on a piece of paper and do the division on a piece of paper? Absolutely. And it's a great way to practice your division, but eventually we'll be getting into numbers that are quite large. Probably not this year, but by 6th grade, you're going to be getting into bigger numbers in the hundreds. And quite honestly, it's a lot faster to use a calculator because you're not going to have all of your math facts up to 500 memorized. We don't expect that. Okay, once you get into larger numbers, usually people use a calculator or an adding machine. Okay, write this fraction in simplest form, 18 over 27. Okay, so I am going to do the 18 over 27. Okay, and so I know that, let me see, 27 doesn't end in an even number, so it's not divisible by 2. I'm going to try 3. So I'm going to pull up my calculator, and I'm going to divide 18 by 3, and that's going to give me 6. And then I'm going to divide 27, which is the bottom number, by 3. Okay, and that's going to give me 9. Remember, I'm using method 1 here. I'm doing several divisions to get down. Okay, so now I have 6/9. I know that 6/9 can be divided again by 3. 6 is divisible by 3, and so is 9. So I'm going to divide again by 3. Okay, 6 divided by 3, you may already know the answer is 2. And 9 divided by 3, you may already know the answer is 3. It's much quicker to have these memorized, your math facts memorized. So I'm showing that it could be reduced to 2/3. You can divide both 18 and 27 by 9, or you can divide both numbers by 3 2 times, which is the way I did it. Both ways work. All right, so we're moving on to the next couple of slides. Now remember, if you have two try-its, two online problems, I want you to do at least one of the two. It's better if you do both, but if you do at least one of the two, that's going to help you know whether you're getting the concept or not. So here we go. Highlight all the numbers that are common factors of 6 and 42. Okay, Sarah needs to represent 6 42nds in the simplest form. So she's going to come up with a common factor. So I know that 6 is divisible by 1 and 6, and I know that 2 times 3 is 6, and I know that 6 is a factor of 42. 6 times 7 is 42. So 7, though, 6 is not divisible by 7. Can 6 be divisible by 4? Nope. Can 6 be divisible by 5? Nope, not evenly. 42 can be divided by 1. It can be divided by 2. 2 goes into 42 21 times. 42 can be divided by 3. 3 goes into 42 14 times. And 6 goes into 42 7 times. Okay? So I look at this and I know that 6 is the greatest common factor. So I am going to divide the top number by 6 and the bottom number by 6 to get the smallest fraction. So here we go, or the simplest fraction. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 42 divided by 6 is 7. So I'm going to check my answer. Okay, so now if I had checked this answer first, it would have told me right away if I was right or wrong. And now I'm going to check this answer. Ta-da! We got them correct. Moving on to slide 2. Evan needs to represent 12 20ths in simplest form. He begins by determining the common factors of 12 and 20. Okay, well, I know they're both divisible by 1. Can 12 be divided by 2? Yes. 2 times 6 is 12. Can 20 be divided by 2? Yes. 20 divided by 2 is 10. Okay. Can 12 be divided by 3? Yes. Can 20 be divided evenly by 3? No. I can get to 18 or 21, but I can't get to 20. So 3 is not a common factor. Can 12 be divided by 4? Yes. Can 20 be divided evenly by 4? Yes. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So that is a common factor. Can 12 be divided by 5 evenly? Nope. So I know that's not going to be a common factor. Can 12 be divided by 6 evenly? Yes, 12 can. Can 20 be divided by 6 evenly? Nope. It's going to have a remainder if I do that. And I know that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 do not evenly go into the number 12. So I know that those are not common factors. So all of my common factors between 12 and 20 are going to be 1, 2, and 4. Check the answer, so that's correct. So out of those 3, 4 is the highest, okay? So now I'm going to type in my answer. What is 12 20ths in simplest form? I'm going to divide that top number 12 by 4, and that's going to give me 3. And then I'm going to divide that bottom number, which is 20, by 4, and that's going to give me 5. So then that will make my answer 3/5. There we go. All right, and so that is halfway through the lesson. Tomorrow we're going to start on section 5, learning how to convert improper fractions to mixed numbers, and we'll learn what those are. Okay, so I will see you tomorrow. So today you should have completed at least half of lesson 3.3 in unit 3 of Math 5 Summit.